So I was sent a video, and it definitely looks like it's a kind of. I don't know how many people that watch my videos actually were around during the Gamergate era, but just this title of the video I was linked reminds me of that kind of stuff. For those of you that don't know, it was a pretty bad time where accounts with millions of subs would, excuse me, would highlight and mock smaller accounts pushing progressive ideas. Essentially, it's okay to be gay. Or trans people exist. That kind of hyper radical progressive political thinking. And that just led to a lot of legitimate harassment, threats, doxing, and very much it led to direct harm. And I've just been kind of seeing that kind of trend going on in the VTuber space. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing a lot of bigger VTubers pushing back against any of these narratives. But this is the first time I've actually covered this one channel. Cringe, I believe they're pronounced. But apparently they post VTuber Cringe, and from the looks of it, it's just them trying to dunk on progressive videos. So, let's see what they have to say.
Hey guys, Cringe here, once again bringing you the worst out of the VTuber community. And as I mentioned in a couple of my last videos, where I mentioned when politics intersects with the medium of VTubing, can have disastrous effects, as it's incredibly divisive and it doesn't lend itself very well to gathering an audience that actually watches you. Can hardly call that entertainment, as the discord surrounding issues becomes charged with emotions, and this is pretty much what happened today, as a VTuber decided to take out her gender studies degree and go full face mask off about white male privilege. I won't be doing much deconstructing myself in this video, as the people I will be presenting in it have done a bang up job doing that myself. I might comment on things here and there, but this video would normally be very short, and if I decided to go mask off myself about these sort of issues and how much I despise them in VTubing, this would be an hour-long video.
You'd add an extra 20 minutes saying how much you hate hearing progressive thinking, like we should treat people fairly so everyone can engage with a dignified life? Okay.
So, without further ado, let's get right into it. The whole debacle started with one tweet on the 12th of March, where Vivi Chan, the dragon, discusses equality versus equity. Shifting power dynamics towards equity from men to women and non-binary always feel unfair to men. Hope that those that feel slighted will think about the big picture of what justice is being worked towards. I think I misunderstand your point. You're saying that it will always feel unfair to men, and if men feel...
Okay, so I am glad that this person admitted they're not doing any real analysis on their own. They're just here to highlight this shit talking this Vivi got. What Vivi tweeted was objectively correct. It will always feel unfair to men because there is a system in place that actually benefits men. Not all, mind you, it greatly benefits the men at the top, and there are men that don't really experience the full range of male privilege, but what we want to work towards is a system that doesn't inherently that doesn't really I forget the term. Basically, we just want to make sure everybody has a dignified life. We want everybody to be able to engage with the world as, or to the fullest extent of their ability. That's, anyways, what I'm pushing towards. That's what I understand from other people that are pushing against the reactionary narratives that are going on. That's what I think Vivi is doing.
We'll think about the big picture of what justice is being worked towards. I think I misunderstand your point. You're saying that it will always feel unfair to men, and if men feel slighted, they should see the big picture. The first part, yes. The second part is for shits and giggles. Well, I guess what I'm trying to understand is if you're saying the fact that it will always feel unfair to men, and that's okay. So, or if that's a reason we need to go away from equity. It's an explanation for white male rage, feeling like victims. There is no okay or not okay. It's just, hey, this seems to be the plan, and this is how it made these people feel. I have no idea if equity is best or not. It's just something that is best worked towards. Gotcha. Well, as you can tell from the initial tweet, things could have gone pretty well when you discuss this sort of stuff. But then the answer thread just kind of feels very dismissive, and it's gonna get much more dismissive, much more sarcastic, and downright rude.
Wait, what do you mean dismissive? What is Vivi dismissing here? Like, they're engaging with it.
When it comes to her statements about what she believes in. What is this even in reference to? It feels horrible, poorly timed, with all the trends right now about a guy feeling false R-word allegations. Those are sexual assault allegations.
What discourse is Mizuhana referring to? Like, what? I don't think Vivi Chan was saying any, or I didn't get the impression that Vivi was commenting on any specific discourse. They were just making a broader comment on the effects of equity. That's the impression I got.
About a very popular YouTuber. Wait. That sounds unfortunate. Equity is generally...
Wait, you're not even gonna go into detail about that one? Okay. Oh, this person actually has a big response.
Generally not good. Equal of outcome is generally not good. Sounds good on paper, but it is a bad practice.
Example, please.
Let's take VTubing for example.
Thank you.
I wouldn't want any handouts that guaranteed success or lose it because I didn't go through trials needed for me to understand how to keep it. Treasure it and be grateful for accomplishing a feat through merit as opposed to simply because I had an interest and exist.
Okay, so I don't think you can apply the concept of equity to VTubing in general, because VTubing's not really a system. It's just kind of a way of making content. There's flesh tubers that use a face cam, show their face. There's cosplay streamers that always have a costume on and they're playing that character. And there's VTubers. I don't see how there's any inherent systemic privilege among any VTubers. There's just kind of the ability for one to take off out of nowhere and overnight essentially get 4,000 followers or subscribers because things just happen to click with an algorithm for luck's sake.
Exist. You have already seen this on a smaller scale when it comes to job opportunities. This is essentially going from hiring and promoting favorites, conflicts of interests, to promoting based on what you are and where do you live.
What? A smaller scale than VTubing when it comes to job opportunities? What? No. Trying to use job opportunities as an example would have been better for your point, because it would have actually been related to some form of actual discrimination in people's lives, but VTubing doesn't really have that because you're kind of separated between the person and the avatar.
On an individual level, like family and friends, that's fine. It only makes sense for families and friends to make the people they care about, their unit, happy.
That was what? On an individual level, like family and friends, that's fine, as it only makes sense for families and friends to make people they care about, their unit, happy. So this person is essentially saying that that's basically a self-report that they only care about the happiness of their friends and family and don't care about broader, everybody should live a dignified, peaceful life. Because, you know, if you want to maximize happiness, you kind of got to address the systemic inequalities. It's kind of what the original tweet was about. But, like, holy shit, this is really showcasing why political analysis is very important, whether or not you want to engage with political discussions.
It only makes sense for families and friends to make the people they care about, their unit, happy.
Yes.
The raw fuel of male rage makes a similar tweet like that. And all of them are just gonna be...
I respect that response, because, like, you're not going to get actual engagement, good faith discussion on Twitter, even if they wall of text you.
pretty much bait at that point, so it's probably best to treat them as such. Well, I guess this is where we part ways, V. It was interesting to say the least. I really thought you were smart enough to not make such a mask-off statement, but
Mask off statement. This is such a self-report that it's reactionary thinking that they got. Like, personally, I do want people that disagree with me to stick around and actually engage with my content. But, like, if you consider progressive values as mask off stuff, okay. I would love to have you on stream to chat.
but I have many in my life I actually care about, and no one else does. Heck, I spent some days in fear that my own boyfriend will kill himself because he was born in a society that couldn't possibly care less about him. So yes,
That is a broader problem that so many men face, and that does need to be addressed. That wasn't part of what I don't think that was part of what Vivi was saying with that original tweet, though. Because he was born in a society that couldn't possibly care less than him. Yeah.
that rage. So yeah, enjoy that rage all you like, because I don't need the stress. I'm not the type of to revel in the anger of people who are over 70% of suicides, 60% homeless, 78% of murder victims that can be drafted to sent into a foreign country to die in a war they have nothing to do with. And
Yeah, guess what? That's actually an effect of the systemic privileges. Because that gets ignored so often. So we do need to address that. That's why we need more progressive talking points in the VTuber community. Right now, there are so fucking many people that I would consider V grifters that just claim they don't want political takes in the VTuber communities, that political takes have no place in the VTuber communities at all. You shouldn't tie any form of IRL to VTubing, and no, I completely disagree. There is I am 100% certain there are plenty of people that claim they don't want those political takes, and then I'm just seeing political takes from them, except it's only pushing against progressive thinking, which, as far as I'm concerned, is pushing reactionary thinking, which leads to more of those S words, more homeless, more murder victims. We need to address this problem, but so many people just no, they don't want to think about it. They just want to ignore it. They want to remain complacent in their system.
90% of the people no one even cares about. I'd implore you to give it a shot sometimes, because that patriarchy card doesn't put food on the table. It doesn't get you friends. It doesn't even get you a shoulder.
Yeah, that's actually why I try to avoid using the term patriarchy. Because while I do think it is a system that is in place, that term has just become so loaded that people will outright refuse to listen to what you have to say the second that term comes up. When in reality, I oppose the patriarchy not only because it oppresses women, but because it oppresses men that don't have, or that aren't powerful, that don't have the money that they need.
To cry on. As a matter of fact, it reduces the odds you get any of these things a great deal, because no one actually cares about men.
That is definitely a, they are definitely salty. And I don't blame them for that. I mean, this is something that literally affects everyone. And it's most of the time a negative impact that people have, or impact that it has on people. So we want to oppose that, wouldn't we? We would want to change that. We would want to make it a better system so that we have less of those such victims. We want less people experiencing homelessness. We want people, again, we want people to live that dignified life. We're fucking 6 minutes in. I gotta stop hammering on the exact same points because they're not getting it. I don't think they will. I would love to talk to them.
And this greatly put tweet is what started it all, what started Vivi on a path, we could say, to self-destruction, as not a lot of people stood by her when it comes to that. And how will that affect her VTubing going forward is yet to be seen, but virtually nobody other than people like V herself would be attracted to that sort of content. And that
there is a market for drama. There is a market for talking about this kind of stuff. There is no bigger VTubers talking about it because everybody in the V grifter sphere pushes the if you talk about it, you'll lose fans shit. And that's literally all they talk about. And some of them have hundreds of thousands of subs. And they're saying drama doesn't get you clicks? Shut the fuck up.
content would only be available on Twitter anyway. This is not something that gets you numbers on your Twitch or YouTube stream. This is not something that will help you further your career. If you want to hold those beliefs, sure, keep on posting, but just don't expect this to benefit your VTuber career.
Yeah, it totally doesn't benefit you to appeal to as broad an audience as possible on a relatable emotional level, because that totally doesn't garner connection with your audience. It might take longer than pretending you don't care about politics and then just pushing reactionary thought, but it develops a stronger communal bond with your community, which I would say in the long term helps you develop a bigger community that is more self-sustaining, that doesn't rely on having you there specifically putting out your rage bait content constantly, and it has a actual community of people making friends there so that they're engaging with that or with the community, and the content is really just a vehicle of getting people interested in that community, making those bonds, making those friends, building stronger social connections that help make you a better person. At the end of the day, that's kind of what I push for. I just want people to be better in their lives. Not to say that what they're doing is bad, it's that we can all improve in our own ways. Even I can. I'm not perfect.
As most of VTuber watchers are males, and that also includes white males, as you might expect.
Shocker.
No problem, you do you, little art sibling. No problem, you do you. Proceeds to quote your tweet. Yes, she does that. She points that proverbial sword at the person. Yes, you do you, and me do me. Are quote retweets not allowed? Thought it would be a good place for discussion as a separate tweet.
Are you going to showcase the quote tweet, or are you just going to narrativize? Let's find out.
As you can see from the continued abuse of emotes, it's very hard not to think that this person is being incredibly dismissive about all of this, and people...
I do find it really funny that Curry here is saying other people are being dismissive when that's literally all he's doing, all they're doing so far with this video.
Voicing their qualms about her incredibly rude and going forward racist statements.
Racist? I'm gonna need you to show some examples of that.
Respect you for being both articulate and polite in this response. I could stand to learn a thing or two about it.
More people could learn to be more articulate and polite. I'm not perfect, but I'm better than the average person, I'd say.
You didn't see the quote retweet, did you? That's something you'd ever call polite. I was referring to Shiro in
Okay, let's see. But males are victims too, does not take away the existence of white male privilege. Those privileges exist regardless of an individual's specific circumstances because privilege describes the benefit of a group, not an individual. Yeah, that... Where is the problem with that tweet? How is that not polite? I mean... but males are victim too, would be a little, I don't know, edgy? But, like, the rest of that is just an explanation of their thoughts. What is their actual problem with this besides that literal first quote?
In this instance, Vivi is exactly that kind of person I would have nothing polite to say. And there's the quote retweet. But males are victims too. Does not take away the existence of white male privilege. Those privileges exist regardless of an individual's specific circumstances. Because privilege describes the benefits of a group, not an individual. I see this a lot where people who are poor, suicidal, or otherwise not in a good place have trouble accepting that they belong to a group that perpetuates... supposed to be perpetuate.
See that a lot of people who are poor, suicidal, or otherwise not in a good place have trouble accepting that they belong to a group that perpetuates systemic injustice on others. We all have our privileges. It doesn't mean everybody hates you. The idea of privilege is not about personal blame as much as recognizing sometimes invisible victims of an unjust system. What is the issue with this framing? It's just, if you think about systemic inequality, it just kind of makes itself self-evident, but like, do I really need to go into detail? Do people really not think about others that much? I guess so.
It's systematic injustice on others. We all have privileges. It doesn't matter. Doesn't mean everybody hates you. The idea of privilege is not about personal blame as much as recognizing sometimes invisible victims of an unjust system. This collective attitude of grouping all people together and that they somehow benefit from an inherent quality that humans have, once again diminishes the responsibilities of individuals and how much specific individuals in positions of, let's say, economic privileges benefit. Those at the very top are exemplary of what success means, and those at the bottom usually are invisible to everybody, and somehow people tend to focus on the former and come up to these conclusions that somehow everyone benefits from things like that.
Wait, that's the exact opposite of what you literally just showed on screen. Like, based. I like Vivi.
Please never debut. Being debuted for 1.5 years and streaming for 2.5 feels good. Don't think I will stop anytime soon. Are you sure you're a VTuber? Yes. So
Really? It is. Did this person pose this question simply because Vivi made a political take that wasn't actually aggressive?
is getting conscripted into army or dying a meaningless death by a mortar shell in a war like one of these a privilege? Not the lack of that is a non-male privilege. Good, good, good. You're getting it. And
Somebody is starting to learn a bit about privileges. Like, yeah, it's not that every single person directly benefits from those systems. It's that there are systems in place that favor those groups of people, even if it doesn't favor every single one individually.
you can see it's incredibly hard to take this person seriously. I'll be repeating that probably quite a few times during this video.
I'm impressed people take you seriously. You're not really going over any deconstruction, no analysis. You're just kind of highlighting and praising pushback against a progressive tweet.
Absorb this, the gender inequality myth. What if feminist propaganda tells you society looks like money, power, quality of life, etc. But they never show you the whole picture, showing the apex of it, with men being at the very top, women being the...
Wow, that meme just completely does not understand the problem at all. It isn't like specific chunks of people. It's very much a scale, a range of how much individuals can benefit from them. There are people on the lower end, there are people at the top, there are in the middle. All sorts, men, women, non-binary, all colors, creeds, religions, races, doesn't matter. We all benefit and are pushed down by these systems in different ways. That's kind of what intersectionality is all about and what it analyzes.
the middle, above it, and then the vast majority of men being at the bottom of it.
In or out?
I'm absorbing, nom 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 nom. Jesus Christ. I think it doesn't really have any implications on the existence of white male privilege. It's about perception and subtle benefits, not about, oh my god, my life is amazing because I am this gender. I feel like this graph is closer to a display of financial privilege than anything else.
Yeah, that's actually true. It's definitely a lot closer to financial privilege, where the men at the top get like basically the biggest cut of all of it, and then there are affirmative action stuff that have been getting women closer to equal pay to men, and then there are like lower end stuff. But I was under the impression that it hadn't quite fully caught up. So like that graph is still inaccurate, but it would be closer to financial privilege than it would be closer to financial privilege than like patriarchal privilege.
I feel like this accurately describes reality, where you're conflating the success of some tiny number of sociopaths with everyone else that happens to share a few alleles with them.
No, it's not about conflating their successes, it's about analyzing the systems that led to the successes of that minor few to have that consolidated power.
Nothing will dissuade people from this. The myth is too useful. I think it's useful for detecting difference between groups. It's only correlative, not causative. Then more needs to be studied, of course. You don't need to study anything. The top % of men are not indicative of the other 90% because some share alleles.
Okay, this person just absolutely does not get it, and they are literally triggered. Nothing will dissuade people from this. The myth is too useful. I think there are people that can be dissuaded, but the myth is, Wait, what myth are they talking about? They're referring to that graph, right? Where it's all men are on top? Yeah, no, that's... It's dumbing down the idea, or it's dumbing it down to get the idea across so that people can actually digest the information.
I've got through hell, and the only thing my privilege has ever gotten me is undeserved hate from people like you. I used to support people like you. There is a reason I stopped. No one has to put up with abuse, neglect, and being treated as other, or inherently lesser. I don't hate you. I just believe white male privilege exists.
Yeah, this is kind of the entire sentiment where, like, Vivi has been consistent on this, where they're merely addressing that it exists.
That doubling down is probably the most disgusting thing, along with those emojis put there where they don't belong.
How dare they convey that they do have some form of care for that person? What are these progressives doing?
People see stuff like this and take it as you hating white men regardless how you feel. There's nothing about systematic bias. This is just perpetuating racism.
Wait. They're claiming Vivi is racist against white people because of this? Hey, Dusk. That's pretty funny. 'Cause, like, what? Am I a self-hating whitey because I accept that white privilege exists? I don't directly benefit from it because, like, I kind of lose out on job opportunities because I'm out as trans. But I definitely accept that that privilege exists.
White male rage, but be real though.
And yeah, white male rage is definitely real. There's a lot of victims of it.
Name a privilege. White privilege. You didn't.
You didn't name a privilege? That is a privilege. There's all sorts of privilege. There's financial privilege, there's racial privilege, there's religious privilege in specific countries. I could go into detail, but for basics, Christians are the religious privilege in United States.
Name a privilege. You name a group and put privilege after it. Try again. I believe in you. You ask me to name a type of privilege. There's so many types of privileges: white privilege, female privilege, male privilege, educated privilege, rich privilege, married parents privilege. You're not naming privileges here, naming group.
This person just refuses to acknowledge the conversation at all.
Third time is the charm. Come on now, you got this. Name one privilege, just one. If you can't, I'll be happy to do it for you. Oh my god, you're so sweet, thank you. So please do it for me if I do wrong. Does this work? Here's a small list of some male privileges. Links to an article that's basically Vivi in condensed form.
An article that's just Vivi in a condensed form? What the fuck does that mean? Is it a progressive article?
All the points in this list are mainly stereotypes. How the heck is not fitting a stereotype a privilege? Yes, you are on the right track. Okay, so it's like a list of stereotypes that have hidden or nuanced advantages for you or disadvantages for you. Can you explain what those privileges are specifically? The male part, because I'm white, know that part. A large percentage of those in management positions are males, so when decisions are made, there is less likely a woman or non-binary are representative in decisions. Where are the women or non-binary who fight their way to the top of a company? Why is it a male privilege if some male fought hard and worked hard to be at the top? Concepts of privilege are used to describe exactly what you're asking. Where are the women and non-binary who fight their way to the top of a company? Could there be a systematic biases against more of these people from getting there? Let's tease out what's different between them and men.
Yeah. Like, Vivi is actually engaging with what they're asking. I'm getting nothing but good faith vibes from Vivi on this situation. And so far, this video is just trying to paint the narrative that, oh my god, this is just a go woke, go broke video about VTubers. I'm still sticking with V-Grifter.
It's amazing how y'all can say things like this and then expect an audience of men to support you financially. I have no idea what drives you to do this. I have zero expectations of anyone supporting me, men or women or non-binary, and nothing that I've said was meant to be offensive to any particular gender. I'm sorry you feel this way. Wish you the best. I mean, have you tried not being incredibly dismissive of people's points? And that sarcasm sure doesn't help. And you treating them like kids, like basically talking down to them every step of the way.
Curry, do you hear yourself when you speak? Do you do any self-reflection on your content? I'm just curious.
Perhaps that could work. I'm not pulling anything back. I truly will be fine with zero financial support from my viewers. I'll stand by what I say. I'm sorry what you that you feel by statements because they were not meant to hurt. This is true. Vivi has enough to even give me anything I want if I ask. XD. Most con artists use the same excuses. They manipulate people with fake narratives into giving them money, and then they act like the manipulation played no part in it. But you do you, wishing you the best. Yes, con artist, bad. Nods, wishing you the best too. Agreed, XD. Con artists are bad.
You got nothing to say on that? You're just gonna move on? Okay.
If a privilege is given to a group, and yet not everyone in that group receives those privileges, then those privileges only exist for a certain subgroup, not the group as a whole. And it's unfair to judge the group the benefits the subgroup receive. You can lack financial.
Okay, so this person up here definitely does not understand any sort of, or doesn't understand intersectionality on any sort of level, because intersectionality is about addressing that these privileges and disadvantage, or the advantages and disadvantages of groups can intersect in very different ways. So while you can benefit from privileges in one way, you can also experience disadvantages from other aspects. I mean, life is far more complicated than this group is privileged, this group is not. Please start thinking more than just monkey brain. And I will be clear, I am more aggressive with this response video than I have seen anything out of Vivi here.
Privileges and be white and male. Those privileges can both exist. I agree they shouldn't be used for judgment, but you still do it. But I think it's an amazing tool for verbalizing systematic bias when it isn't readily obvious. The only privilege that exists is economic.
Wait. I agree they shouldn't be used for judgment. And then you said you still do it. Where was Vivi judging? Where was the judgment from Vivi? It's literally just been acknowledgement that this form of privilege exists.
Privilege. I disagree, though. I do believe economic privilege, economic financial privilege is a huge factor. I don't know how to tell you this, but white man privilege only exists if it applies to every single white male. I don't know about you, but I'm still waiting to experience this privilege of mine. This is excluded from others on the basis of race and sex.
Yeah, so this person, again, doesn't understand intersectionality at all.
There are poor / or homeless white men in the US, but that doesn't negate the fact that white men are prioritized by the system. Only a certain subset of them, the rich, the politically connected, the average white man doesn't have all that. That doesn't refute the argument. That just makes make a more specific point. Of course, money grants you a level of privilege.
Yeah. This Nigel here is correct. There are white men that are disadvantaged in our system, but that doesn't change the fact that that system is still in place. And them saying the average white man doesn't have all that, no, the average white man doesn't have all that. But what the average white man does have is, or you know what else the average white man doesn't have? A whole lot of specific discriminations based on race, based on gender. They don't have that, but they have to still deal with their financial privileges or disadvantages. It's more than just a black and white, everybody should experience it for it to exist. No, that's very, very smooth brain thinking. Please soak your brain in water, let it get a wrinkle, just one wrinkle.
But outside of money, the US system has always prioritized white men over the races, over other races and genders. That's not in any way true. White males aren't even the most successful demographic.
Of course money grants you privilege. Dude. They don't recognize that our world revolves around money, and the more money you have, the more life you get to experience. I guess they just want to ignore any sort of political analysis or understanding and push back against people they don't like. These so-called Twitter freaks. That has been a term that has been pushed lately, and I don't like it.
In the US, they barely cracked the top 10. Weird that they're not number one when the entire system is designed for them to...
Wait. White males aren't even the most successful demographic in the US? What is their metric for that? And white men don't need to be the most successful demographic in the US. Look at those in the positions of power. Look at the history of those in positions of power. Who are they? White men. That's the way the system's set up. Vivi is only asking that you recognize that. It's literally it.
Succeed. Almost as if you're completely wrong and simply spreading racist hate. Precisely.
Yeah, they didn't get it.
Men are not allowed to speak about or have problems because I think they have it too good.
Wait. What is that quote from? That sounds... All I know of Vivi the Dragon is literally this video, and from the characterization I know of them, given their responses to the tweets, this seems like a gross mischaracterization of what they've been saying. Oh, this is how you sound to me. Okay. That is a characterization.
This is how you sound to me. I and many other men can talk about a single privilege we had. I only can see women getting problems for being women, which is fucked, but not getting shit for your sex/gender is not a privilege. It's supposed to be like this. Funny enough, I can speak about a lot of situations in which men get treated like shit just for being men. For one instance, trying to get help for mental health as men. Just it's gonna be fun, being seen as a treat for seeking help for your problems.
I do think that needs to be addressed. But here's the thing. Who pushes the narrative that men shouldn't seek mental health? Like, men shouldn't go to therapy. That is not something that is pushed by progressives. That is something pushed by reactionaries, by conservatives. They're the ones that want to keep you... they want to keep you kind of messed up a little. It's easier for them to control you because they don't actually care about you. They care about pushing their policies, which they never talk about because they know are bad, so they push culture war shit. Like how if you mention privilege, that means you hate people that have that privilege, which is a gross mischaracterization of any sort of addressing of systemic inequality.
Your short-sighted thinking of everyone who has better than me is privileged and therefore must suffer is fucking stupid. You can definitely...
How did you get that from any of what I've seen here? This is... I'm really getting the feeling that this poster kinda has some issues that they definitely need to talk out. They definitely need to address. And that's causing them, or that is biasing their views of what they see Vivi post. I haven't seen anything actually objectionable out of Vivi. I'm just seeing people pushing back on a progressive narrative being talked about at all.
definitely talk about it, definitely not stopping you.
Out of curiosity, I do wonder how many tweets or how many likes and stuff the original tweet Vivi put out, because for the people agreeing with Vivi, it's not being pushed to people that agree with Vivi too much, but the people that are pushing back, that's getting signal boosted a lot. I wonder if there's a sort of bias in the algorithm towards rage baiting.
I'm saying is that I believe white man privilege exists. That doesn't mean that toxic masculinity doesn't exist or that bad things don't happen to men because they are men. I do not want anyone to suffer. I hate those emotes. I really do. And it just gets worse from this. It's doubling down, tripling down from this point onward.
Doubling down, tripling down? On what? That people should be happy? That we need to address these problems in order to help people get to a place of mental stability where that will lead to broader happiness for people and better life quality? What do you hate? I don't think they're actually going to say. They're just going to vague post about it.
And then, speaking of the doubling down, she makes this video.
Attention! White male privilege exists.
And then just laughs about it.
That is such a banger, good one, baby.
Because that's how seriously she takes people that confront her about it. She completely...
No, that's literally all she did. That's not a hyperbolic characterization of what's happening. That's literally what's happening, what you're showcasing, what you've shown for the last 19 minutes.
She dismisses them and just doubles down on her own beliefs, not willing to open herself up to anything else.
Not willing to open up herself up? Is it her? I would like confirmation on that. But what you've been showing is literally Vivi engaging with the people disagreeing with her. Why do you want to paint this narrative? What's your end game?
And this is the disgusting part of it. And it just gets, once again, worse from here on. Ah yes, my white male privilege of making $300 a month while angry US agents call me slurs. I think you...
Yeah, they're assuming that white male privilege is something that benefits everybody, which it does not. It's a way that can benefit people, not that it does benefit everybody.
You may be referring to your lack of financial privileges, which is intersectional to your white male privilege. Having white privilege doesn't mean you automatically make more money. Okay, tell me how being a low-class person in a third-world country gives me any privilege. I'll be waiting. If you ever see people in Hollywood movies, you may have an easier time seeing people of your gender race widely represented. It also sounds like you suffer from systematic disadvantages from being a low-class person in a third-world country. Man, that must be real relaxing to see a white dude in a movie. It really helps the starving income. The majority of successful people are white males, but so is the majority of poverty-stricken folk.
No, I don't think that's true at all. Because if you look at global population, white people are not a majority. They're a majority in the United States and European countries, but not over the world. There are far more poverty-stricken folk in the third world at all. Like, there is no comparison of poverty between the third world countries and first world countries.
The men's suffering is a problem that I will ignore because I want to continue hating them openly. Men's suffering is another side to our
Well, that is a gross mischaracterization. That men suffer is a problem that I will ignore because I want to continue hating them openly. How do they get that? When has Vivi ever been denying that there are problems that men have? They're just saying that white privilege exists.
sexist system, but does not erase male privileges in the system. Just like female privileges continue to exist. Keep digging the hole, the mask is off, and people see you for what you are.
The mask is off. Like, this, as far as I'm concerned, that's a misuse of the term. Because mask off means you're hiding your biases, you're hiding what you really believe in your content. You don't go mask off by being consistent with progressive framings. Being mask off would be like saying, I think people have the right to be transgender, but I think there definitely needs to be checks and balances in place. We don't want predators going into the women's washroom, so we'll need to do genital checks. And that, I would say, would be mask off. Because a progressive person that actually cares about people's privacies and freedoms would not impose genital checks on restrooms of all places.
Perceive me as I am. I have nothing to hide. Or maybe it would be a little more appealing if you hid a lot of what you've presented to people right here.
So you're just saying you don't want to hear progressive values at all? Okay.
This is so sad to see. I often wonder which, with such contempt and hatred in your heart, if you're blinded that the men and boys in your life or who supported you see this is what you truly think of them. That the epidemic of male suicide just climbed here. My heart just breaks. Hope they know exactly what I believe. I feel no hatred and I feel no contempt. Toxic masculinity has truly done a number on men, but toxic masculinity is just another aspect of sexism, and doesn't mean sexism or male privilege doesn't exist. If you feel no hatred and contempt, why do you believe the same things and act the same way as those that do? For a man in your life, how would you know that you are different?
I don't know. By listening to what Vivi is actually saying, like, listen to the meaning behind the words rather than the words themselves. That's what I do. Somebody can tell me that they I forget my example right now. I'm tired. Forget where I was going. But what I'm seeing is a lot of people just seeing mention of, hey, this privilege exists, and they're immediately jumping to, you think that privilege exists? That means you hate men. No, that's not how it goes. You can understand that a system can be in place and benefit people and not hate that group of people. That's kind of avoiding essentialist thinking. You don't want to essentialize your problems with people because that obfuscates things. It makes it harder to get your point across. Yeah.
Imagine being such a brain-dead lipshit that you think male privilege is a thing. Female privilege is actually a thing. Females are the most privileged species on the face of the planet.
Okay, yeah, that person is definitely acting in good faith and totally wants to engage with the conversation. Though I do applaud Vivi for actually engaging with them back.
Female privilege doesn't erase the fact that male privilege exists. In fact, lots of privileges act simultaneously and intertwined. I for sure have cis female privilege just like white males have white male privilege. It must be really fantastic to see a society at large as a subset of privileges that everyone has, and inequality always has to exist, and people can simply be boiled down to certain subsets of inherent qualities that we all have, and those make us privileged somehow as opposed to other people.
Okay, so that's why they don't provide much deconstruction or analysis. Okay, so again, acknowledging that these systems are in place are not tying every single trait of that privilege to every member of the group. It's about recognizing the different ways these can react with each other.
You know, all of this may sound complex to you, but it's a really simple mindset that is just meant to put down others and create enemies where enemies pretty much don't exist.
That's an interesting narrative. Please go on. Oh, okay.
Imagine the copy on this bitch must be huffing to come to such an autistic conclusion. This is a fantastic way to lose followers as a content creator. It's divisive and utterly fucking hateful for no goddamn reason. When you end up forgotten, you may cry then because you earned it. Please point to...
Okay. So Curry here is saying, or trying to paint the narrative that Vivi is a bad person, yet siding with what I would consider an actually harassful response. Jumping into ableism and getting pretty goddamn aggressive there.
To the hateful end part of the tweet, if you could. I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. The hateful part is the complete disregard of male victims. Why is that?
What? Where did she disregard the male victims? And I will be using she, her from now on because they did show that Vivi said she's got cis female privilege. And I don't really know any cis people that use they, them. But again, where was the disregard of male victims? She acknowledged them.
Hard to understand. See, that's where the disconnect is. Her tweet pretty explicitly says that men can be victims while also being privileged. Do you see how that works? Do you see how you jump around and pick about the parts might offend you? Mostly in a non-offensive tweet? Well, she did a lot more than that, but, you know, running...
What more did she do? You're painting a narrative without pointing to examples. Please tell me. I want to engage. I want to provide better discussions. I'm not looking to attack. I do have problems with a lot of this. A lot of this framing.
Defense for her when she continues to double and triple down won't really help in the long run when it's all on.
Oh yeah, right. Because it's so bad to say that privilege exists. How dare she? How dare she?
Out in the open and people can openly critique it. That's what modern feminists do. So are you calling yourself a modern feminist? I'm confused. I'm talking about what you did. Just now I think there's another disconnect happening. Please stop defending her. This is a losing fight, dude. Sometimes you just gotta know when to fault them. I am aware that the people I'm responding to will in no means have their opinions changed. But there are people out there who like to read both sides and like to think I'm presenting mine clearly and effectively. Can't say as much as for some others in this thread.
Yeah, from what I've seen of this, yoga? I don't know how they pronounce it. Bogey. From what I've seen of this person, they've actually been pretty goddamn good with their framing. I should probably check out their stuff, too. I want to find more, openly progressive VTubers. There needs to be more of us.
Also, I'm having fun and working my brain. Discussion is good for the soul, especially with those you disagree with.
True.
I might be a little smug at times, but I really am trying to respect everyone's views while standing up for my truth. Their truth. Smiley
True.
face. Yeah, that dismissiveness just continues through her defenders as well.
What dismissiveness? That's literally saying they're open to engaging with disagreement. What dismissal?
They're really so smug about everything. It's not even willing to listen. It's just deflection, deflection, deflection.
That... Please do the basic bit of introspection on what you're about to say with the content you're making. Because you're literally doing the thing that you're decrying Vivi for doing. Did you all know that Bradley has premarital sex with water chestnuts? Hey, don't give away my secrets.
Oh, Yoga, I feel the same.
Is it Yoga?
I
Okay.
see a lot of where people who are poor and suicidal or otherwise not in a good place have trouble accepting that they belong to a group that perpetuates systematic injustice on others.
You showed this tweet before, but it is a good point. So, thank you for reading it out again.
You all have privileges. It doesn't mean everybody hates you. The idea of privilege is not about personal blame as much as recognizing sometimes invisible victims of an unjust system. Ah, collective guilt. If collective guilt is acceptable to apply
Wait, collective guilt? That wasn't the point of that at all.
to one group, then by equality, it is acceptable to apply to all groups. I don't think that's the road you want to go down. It's not about blame, but about understanding and identifying problems in our system. It is no individual's fault, in my opinion. Though I know that might be controversial to say. I think things just happen on systematic scales, and we need manual corrections to make it just. Ah, yes, original sin. Jesus, have mercy on your soul. I am a cis woman, and this gives me privileges that trans women do not have.
True.
This doesn't mean I don't have disadvantages related to being cis.
True.
These can exist simultaneously. It's not competition, and I don't hate trans women when they mention I have advantages.
True.
Privilege is not a blanket. Is not a blanket. Your life is great and better. Take it. There's white privilege. There's rich privilege. There's a male privilege, etc. You have a lot of different combinations of these and personal disadvantages that may not be systematic. Don't assume that every white man has privileges. The world is a lottery and you get lucky or you get fucking screwed. The world isn't a competition to see who is the biggest victim. Most people live in shitty lives or are barely getting by. In my
Hey, what influences that luck? Is there, I don't know, outside influences that could affect the circumstances of one's situation they're born into? Huh. Maybe that does play a role. Huh.
opinion, pointing out privilege is not disrespectful and in fact a part of recognizing that just parts of systems. I will not be living VTubing. I will continue to make content I believe in. Well, is this VTubing content? This is just a sermon at this point. A weird woke sermon about privilege of every single group that you think.
And the video you're putting out is a weird reactionary sermon decrying progressive thinking. What's your point? Tweets are content, accept it.
Has these privileges. I'll be okay with or without financial support from people of any gender. I wish you well. The amount of good men I have seen their lives ruined and spirits broken from these ideas is more than enough for not buy into for a millisecond. To me, it is pure, seething, unreasonable hatred.
So you got something you can point to, or is that just anecdotal? Because while individual experiences should be accounted for, they don't discredit systemic issues. We kind of need a little more shit. That original tweet had no seething, unreasonable hatred. That was a bit of a hyperbolic characterization of the exact sentiment being sent to Vivi. And the rest of that tweet was just explaining her positions. If you see that as pure, seething, unreasonable hatred, then you have been a victim of right-wing narratives. Because progressive people don't push hatred. We don't hate people. We want to make people's lives better. We want them to, I don't know, have access to food, shelter, the medications they need, any social connections they need, any mental health they could use, regardless of their gender or race, all that fun stuff that is aspects of all our lives.
I love you, no hate. White male privilege still exists, though. The real fuel of white marriage. I love you, no hate. I'm no mathematician, but something isn't quite adding up here. White male rage is a very potent fuel that seems to make things happen. Still, I think it's true. My vagina, PMS. Ow! It's also something I say, and I don't hate my vagina. I love my vagina.
Yeah, that kind of that tracks. Where's the problem?
A real fucking comedian, this one is.
I think so.
My words mean nothing.
Unironically, you've literally showcased a clip or a short TikTok that literally made me crack up. Like, I think she's pretty damn funny. And that literally all my knowledge of Vivi is this video. Again.
To you. So why should yours mean anything to me? Get lost.
Whoa. Where did Vivi dismiss Jack's words here? Vivi has been doing nothing but engaging in good faith, and people just keep assuming her positions because they're fed the narratives of SJWs are trying to push you down and deny, or that SJWs hate you, when in reality, we don't.
Lost. That's probably the best answer I've seen throughout this whole thing.
Okay, if you have that much of a problem with people, just block them and move on with your life. You literally don't need to engage with content you don't like. You don't like mine, don't watch me. You don't like seeing my tweets, block me or don't follow me. I literally don't care.
It's just not about anything that matters to you. It matters plenty to people who don't have white male privilege. It's interesting that white male privilege is never about anything that matters to ordinary people in their day-to-day lives. It's about esoteric things that get on the nerves of young progressive women.
It's never about anything that matters to ordinary people in their day-to-day lives. These systems of privilege do affect everybody in their day-to-day lives, but it's just typically indirectly. You don't feel the effects directly, so you don't really think about it in the forefront of your day-to-day life, even though it does have an effect.
And Vivi is a young progressive woman in her very early 20s, probably after studying gender for many years, and also on the internet. That's where you get groomed into these kinds of ideas.
Oh, using the grooming narrative for progressive thinking. Interesting.
I'm not threatened by you. I do content that I believe in. Money is nice, but I don't do this for money. I don't depend on any of this for income. I do this because I enjoy it. I want to make use of my platform for good, regardless of numbers. Also, I'm tiny, not even a partner. Who cares?
Based. Same, sis.
Well, with that kind of attitude, I don't think people are gonna watch you. I hope you put up a
No? You don't think so? I gotta be careful with Twitter. I am a lewd tuber. Did I spell that wrong? My chat's blocking my view. Damn it! Bigger than me. Oh, nice. Voice commissions. Kremlin tier, nice. Yeah, check her out. I was hoping for like a Twitch or a YouTube. Oh. Stupid me. Vivi, could you please update your location? Oh, wait, no, that's your location, so it can't be a direct website, can it? No content steal. Oh. Oh yeah, nobody is going to listen to progressive thinking. Like, there's totally not 8,000 people that attempt to tune in to her live streams when they can. You really want to say nobody listens to this stuff? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Better show on your streams than try to talk down to people on Twitter. If you wanted to compare average number of legs in a handicapped versus non-handicapped group, that number would be useful for showing differences between groups. Doesn't mean handicapped all have 1.6 legs each though, lol. It means handicapped might need more handicap accessible tools. That analogy doesn't really work.
No, that analogy does totally work. You just don't want to engage with the thought experiment.
Due to human biology, you probably have to compare it to some financial benefits or anything like that, because that's where these numbers can be properly divided up.
If you went that route, it would be more complicated math than what Vivi just showcased.
But you know, just try to make those points a bit clearer next time, please.
Make them clearer. This is why people need political analysis. Like, this is... They need political comprehension, because... Oh my god.
If anybody is using the concept of privilege to say you're a terrible person or you deserve hurt, they are using the concept wrong. Privilege is about teasing out what makes an unjust system unjust. By identifying privileges, we can figure out what steps to take to address it. If you are white,
yeah, we're addressing the, or you mentioned the privilege so you can address it and then work to counterbalance it so that people have a at least closer to equal shot at things. We don't live in a meritocracy, but I do kind of think it would be a little better if we were closer to one.
Ben, I do not hate you for being one. I have cis female privilege and I don't hate myself for having those privileges. If I had had terrible experiences due to my gender, it does not erase my cis female privilege. I am still cis, I am still female. I said this in another tweet, but I'll repeat it here. Identifying privilege is like when you survey the number of legs in a group in order to figure out if people need handy, accessible things, rather than believing everybody has 1.6969696699 legs in some groups, while others have 1.98. If you have been in a car accident in the past, it doesn't mean you suddenly don't have leg privilege. Your number of legs was still 2 after your accident, so you have leg privilege. That doesn't mean what happened wasn't terrible, it just means you don't need a handy, accessible thing.
Yeah. That was pretty straightforward. If you have problems with it, I will be happy to try to explain.
My brain is about to shut off, but let's continue with this, because it just gets worse. Because it always does. This is Twitter after all.
Okay, so you're not engaging. I didn't think you would.
Identifying white male privilege doesn't help white males. It points out the small disadvantages non-white and non-males have because they had lacked that privilege. I would love to talk about toxic masculinity and systematic bias against men, but that wasn't the original topic. Is all of this an example of toxic femininity? Because it sure feels like it is. This.
No. You're just trying to play toxic. This just shows you have no idea what toxic masculinity actually is. For those of you that don't know, toxic masculinity is the reinforcement of the ideas that, like, men need to be strong, men don't share their feelings, men don't cry, men don't go to therapy, that kind of stuff. The way that you need to perform masculinity to the point that it would hurt you, which we don't want. We want positive masculinity. We want people that embrace their masculinity without, you know, hurting themselves as people, because it does hurt people to not address their feelings. Everybody has them. Everybody needs to address them. We need to be open to talking about this, not trying to shut down every single form of conversation about it just because you don't like the way it was initially framed.
Girl boss dismissive attitude that constantly looks down on people with different opinions.
Again, that wasn't dismissive. You're just painting a narrative that you want to.
All white men benefit from being white men because they don't need to deal with not being white men. But that doesn't mean that all white men are living their best lives.
True.
And this is where it just gets so bad. As she retweets, someone just confronting her on her racist worldview. The liberal views of not believing you can be racist towards someone who has more power, and even if the person is not white.
The liberal views of not believing you can be racist towards someone who has more power, even if the person is not white. What? Let's go deeper.
So by your shit definition, it's not possible to be racist towards a white person. Is that why you make fun of them by saying stuff like white male rage and bring?
Wait, by your shit definition, it's not possible to be racist towards a white person? What? Where was that in any of what she was saying?
Up white privilege when they are victims. I think it's possible to be racist towards white people in contexts where white people have less power. If the action was able to cause systematic shift in empower white people.
I don't think the context necessarily plays a role. I think it's how any specific person refers to such a group or how they engage with it. It would be making judgments or what's the term? It would be about making judgments towards people based on their race, or just jumping to conclusions about people just because they're white. And at the very least, I don't see that in my community. I push back against ignoring power balances. Though, you definitely can be racist towards white people. I will say that I think people pushing back against white progressives saying or using the hashtag say her name for white trans victims of violence, like there are people that push back against saying you can't use that term was developed for minority victims of violence, people of color. When I do think that say her name, especially in the instance of Eden, was extremely fitting because they were dead naming and misgendering her, so it worked on multiple levels of say her name, reinforcing the acceptance of her transgender identity rather than the biological reality that reactionaries tried to push. That's just a narrative I don't agree with. Biological reality. We accept that trans people accept that we're not the same as cis. I don't assume I am the same as a cis woman. I am different from Vivi-chan. That's the whole point of my transition, that I'm aware of my biological reality. That's why I'm changing it.
What the fuck kind of answer is this? So if a black person is the one with more power, then it's not possible to be racist towards them? What about Hispanic or Asian person? Oh yes, exactly. You get how it depends on the power in the context.
I don't think it has to do with the direction of the power itself. I think it has more to do with making assumptions or judgments based on people's race, specifically, regardless of their position of power. Because people will still 100% use the power that a person of color or minority might experience. I said hi to you, Dusk. People will spend a lot of time downplaying that. Fuck, what was I? I lost track of my train of thought. Yeah, I don't think it has to do with the specific power, because there can be people in positions of power, of financial privilege, or social privilege, I would say, like actors in mainstream movies and shows, like how there are black actors in Star Wars that see a lot of hate on them online simply because they're black. They would be considered more financially privileged than I am, but they are still susceptible to racism. Just like people can be racist towards white people in power because they're white. It is something that needs to be addressed.
Be racist towards anyone in any context. There doesn't need to be a power imbalance. This whole idea of racism being power.
No, I agree. There doesn't need to be a power imbalance. There is a power imbalance that we need to address.
Plus, privilege is a very new thing, and by new I mean it's existed for like maybe 10 plus years. But
wait, privilege has only existed for 10 plus years? Howdy, Thomas.
trying to redefine racism into that just creates more inequality in itself. It's sickening to see.
Wait. Talking about inequality makes more of it. I know you're not going to go into detail about it, but okay.
Is this white male privilege in the room with you right now? This one VTuber yelling how much he hates men. Another pathetic Twitter troll who's a racist freak.
Yeah, this is just showcasing people talking shit on Vivi because they're getting triggered over the literal first 5 words of that tweet and ignoring the rest of that tweet. Yes, I did notice you, Dusk. I did say hi. I am just getting a little engaged with the video.
Actually, white males are demonized in the West. They're literally second-class citizens in the...
What? White males are demonized in the West. I would like detail on that, but given the last half hour of the video, yeah, West, like Europe and North America.
In countries like Spain, there is no white male privilege. How you never will have someone come to you to talk about their mental health?
Well, there is still a sort of isn't there still a sort of bias towards lighter-skinned people? No demonization of white people, at least? I mean, yeah. But this shroom person is saying actually white males are demonized in the West, i.e. Europe and USA and Canada. But no, that's just kind of... Spanish are white. Yeah, I agree with that. They tend to be lighter skin, so they're considered white passing, so people just think them white and never really think about it unless like a Spanish name comes up. Then people start experiencing discrimination based on that. But a lot of it is based on how people perceive you. Not enough to the south. I got some strange stares in Tunisia, but never in Spain. I don't think I know Tunisia.
It will go straight into them just feeling shitter than before maybe making them do something bad to themselves. Congrats. Rant. It takes like these that cause more problems than anything. You can look at me and tell me you're a good person when you overlook a man being suicidal and go, yeah, but he still has privileges. There's a time and place for everything, just not now. I always imagine people like this stepping out of their university dorm, Starbucks in one hand, iPhone in the other, looking up to a crowd of homeless white guys in the parking lot and saying this shit with an expression of supreme smugness on their faces. And I imagine this probably sometimes.
Most people actually do like tourists because, you know, that's how you develop more income and stuff. It boosts the economy to have, you know, people from outside your country come in and spend their money in your country, adding to the money in your country. It's like kind of a good thing.
This happens in the most extreme examples. I hope never to see that sort of thing in my life, though. I'm pretty sure this is a kind of marketing attempt to attract people for your debut. I'll have you know that the people who follow this rhetoric typically don't watch VTubers, much less pay them on stream. They hate VTube, in fact. Good job torching your career in its infancy.
That is an interesting take. Because, like, a lot of people that I talk to are actually progressive. I've seen enough simp to say it's not true. What are you referring to there? About VTubing, at least? Oh, yeah, there are definitely people that are very open to progressive thinking and stuff, and interested in VTubing. It's just, currently there are a lot of major VTubers that will either not talk politics at all because they buy into the narrative of if you talk politics, you're killing your career. Or there's the people that I call V-grifters that claim they don't like political takes in VTuber spheres and then just end up making the majority of their content just political takes about the VTuber spheres where they're just pushing back against any sort of progressive thinking. And I am starting to really push back against that kind of narrative.
Let's see. You're a female pretending to be an anime female. Women don't watch that shit, men do.
I'm gonna be honest, my analytics on YouTube, yeah, they are skewed towards men. But my engagement on Twitch and Twitter is skewed towards women.
Your entire existence is catered to attracting subscriptions from men, including white men. How's the damage control working, sweetheart? Linking to...
Your entire existence is catered around subscriptions from men, including white men. You know, kind of the opposite of what she had said previously, that she doesn't rely on income from stream.
Everything's I've already read so far. A lot of people don't understand.
Oh yeah, like there are so many queer people and communities in the VTuber sphere that I just find it absolutely ridiculous that this narrative is being pushed by the bigger ones, that if you talk about progressive things, you're just killing your career in its infancy. It's a ridiculous take. Like, most of the VTubers that I know are actually trans. Because, you know, they don't like showing off their face and outing themselves before they're ready in their IRL. But they still want to live as their authentic lives as best they can in whatever ways they can.
Then that exposure on Twitter will not translate in exposure on stream one-to-one. Basing your marketing strategy on that assumption is setting up for failure. Some reasons why I will not see a YouTube channel. Aside from being generally too lazy to create content on a regular basis, I just like to shitpost here. I'm grateful for the 8k followers, but I'm not delusional to think all of them will follow me to YouTube. That's not how it works. Agreement on politics doesn't equal agreement on interests/hobbies.
Okay, so yeah, this person just did not take any 2 seconds to look at the actual size of the person they're talking about. Because Vivi is bigger on Twitch than she is on Twitter. These are the kinds of people that say, you got to think for yourself, do your own research, but then they don't actually do it. They just want to actually dismiss what you have to say without engaging with your point. Thing about YouTube and Twitch is that YouTube is nearly always bigger than the Twitch channel. Yeah, that's actually that has a lot to do with the types of content. For me, I'm actually bigger on Twitch than I am on YouTube. About twice the size on Twitch than YouTube. But then if you look at my Twitter, it eclipses either of those. Because I've got 1.2 thousand followers on Twitter, 320 something on Twitch, and then 150 on YouTube. Then again, it is also very fucky-wucky with growth on the various platforms. Like I have developed, or I have built pretty decent viewers on like gaming streams and stuff. I have seen a drop off as I've switched more to political content that most of my viewers didn't really expect to come into when they subscribe to my channel, though they don't necessarily disagree with me. The thing is, this is the kind of content I like. It's what I want to engage with more. I can live with people unsubscribing, unfollowing. It's okay. Yeah, I think that's... Yeah, Cloud is fucky-wucky with how we've got to divide our viewer bases to the different platforms.
People don't understand that either. If you're setting up a third wave feminist channel, that wild and privileged chant will work. You're pretending to be a humanoid dragon instead. Feminists don't watch that shit. LMAO, 12 views. Good job.
I get far more views on my YouTube videos than my streams. I mean, I get a couple people popping into my stream when I'm not interviewing people. Like, honestly, I understand people being bored about politics. If I had to watch a 2-hour stream of someone talking about something I don't give a crap about, I would stop watching too. I mean, yeah, if you don't find that content engaging, you're not going to watch it. That's just how content kind of works. It's just about finding the right viewers. And I've been doing that more so on YouTube. My Twitch audience definitely is around more for when I am able to interview other VTubers, because that is a lot of the content I do, where I will be trying to promote smaller channels, even bigger channels, though what I want to do is basically help support other VTubers and help them grow. At the same time, when I go on social media, it's not get more depressed. So yeah, gaming being bigger makes sense, especially on Twitch. The entire site is centered around it. Yeah, like the Twitch, you literally couldn't have, like, you couldn't pause the game for too long just to talk with chat in its initial stages. Now they have just chatting sections that I'm on right now. But the audience does build up an expectation of what to expect with your content, and it's completely understandable when content creators do change their content up. Sometimes I get bored with the same old, same old. That's what happened to me. I got a little tired of just doing gaming streams or not really doing anything besides that. Yeah, I agree with that. I think a lot of bigger VTubers are just staying silent about it because they haven't engaged with politics very much, and that has led to a rise of people claiming to be apolitical only to be pushing reactionary narratives, like this video I'm going over now.
Oh my god, you came. This is really sweet of you to come by. Thank you. Go get a real job.
Ooh, that one's so savage. It's almost like most VTubers or streamers don't actually have a day job.
Hope she has one. The idea that you can have some vague, completely unquantifiable concept of privilege applied to you just because you share a trait with other people is just the modern equivalent of Nazi race science.
Wait, what?
It's just as stupid for the same reasons, and it's just as dangerous.
So acknowledging that there are ways that the systems we live in can have positive and negative effects on individual lives is the exact same as Nazis trying to prove why the Jews were non-human. Holy fuck. That... I thought only Stretch Armstrong could go that far. I don't like this kind of video. It feels like it goes too fast for you to think about what was just said. Oh yeah, and this person does not really provide any insight. This kind of video is literally just showcasing people pushing back on what was originally just one tweet addressing a progressive stance. That was literally what kicked this all off.
It's just a lot easier that these days to convince people all members of a group are evil oppressors than they are subhuman vermin. People recognize why the latter is bad and...
No, you're jumping to that conclusion. That was not what was said at all in this tweet thread.
that the people push...
I do also have it sped up to 1.25 times because A, I'm pausing a lot, and B, I think I'm at an hour and a half for this one video. Hour 45 for this one segment. It being not my first language doesn't always help either. Yeah, no, language barriers are a huge pain in the ass. It's why I don't really decry people for stuttering, mispronouncing words, or not entirely grasping what is said, as long as the essence of the other side got across, then I don't really have an issue. But with this guy, it's a lot of them saying that the other person is being dismissive while not engaging with their points at all, and just saying that Vivi is being dismissive. Your name is Tama? So you go by Tama? Unpause.
it are bad because they have seen it before, but I have not seen the former. Yeah, also kind of things like it's a mask for something more dangerous in a lot of aspects, as that kind of attitude paints one group as the oppressors and the other one as the oppressed.
No, it doesn't paint one group as oppressors. It acknowledges that one group can have privileges. There are people that do say that white people are on top and they are the aggressors, they are the colonizers. I would push back against that specifically, though it is definitely more of an esoteric disagreement, because I don't like the framing of all white people do that, because, you know, yeah, I know, they're like trying to paint the idea that Nazis were claiming Jews had privileges or something. Like, they did claim that Jews had disproportionate representation in the Weimar Republic, which they kind of actually did for various socio-economic reasons, but that didn't justify what they did. Like, you can't justify them Nazis. You can try, but I will push back.
No matter in what situation they find themselves in. Outside extremely narrow circumstances, such as particular group being given explicit extra rights, notion of group privilege is nonsensical. If a average black woman
It's
gets
literally the opposite.
4,000%
The
reached
area
by
interpreter was their entire
yet,
point. Yeah.
that guarantees nothing to me specifically as a particular.
Yeah, they're just trying to use the Nazi or the term Nazi, or they're bringing up Nazis so that people instinctually jump to, ooh, bad person, and if they compare their opponent to Nazis, then people will associate their opponent with Nazis, even if their opponent is the one with the political position that is further away from Nazis than these people ever will be.
Particular instance of a black woman. I don't know why this type of person is so desperate to...
Wait, I missed that. Outside extremely narrow circumstances, such as particular group being given explicit extra rights, notion of group privilege is nonsensical. It's not necessarily that the entire group experiences the privilege, it is that the group is more likely to benefit from these privileges. Your brain hurt? Mine too. And you're jumping in on the tail end of stuff.
I don't know why this type of person is so desperate to keep racism/sexism alive. Yes, among the top 1%, men are overrepresented, as well as amongst the bottom 1%. Why does this mean that society in general is biased in favor of men, as if one half of this equation doesn't exist?
Why are you jumping to that? And how does addressing these problems keep racism and sexism alive? I know a lot of these people are so incoherent with their thought processes, but I'm doing my best to try and understand where they're coming from. But for the most part, I can't connect the dots of how they're jumping from privilege exists to this person is saying every person experiences that privilege, so therefore we have to hate them. A very long stretch. I don't see how they're I don't see how those stairs connect. My thought process is like a ferret on crack and I can't keep up. Right? It is so hard to understand these people. But I'm doing my best. I do want to understand and meet them where they're at.
One thought I heard about this is which I don't exactly believe, but which is a very sticky idea that I will not forget, is that women of this type will notice the top 1% but ignore the bottom 1% because the latter doesn't even register as human to them.
What? One thought I heard about this, which I don't exactly believe, but which is a very sticky idea, but that I will not forget, is that women of this type will notice the top 1% of men but ignore the bottom 1% of the latter because the latter doesn't even register as human to them. This is dripping with incel particles. That's the vibe I'm getting. This person is having trouble making social connections, and they're taking it out on people they disagree with. Yeah, you can feel the incel in this? Good, I'm not the only one. What type are they talking about? I don't even know. I think with this tweet, they're referring to this type of person as like the type they're referring to are progressive people like Vivi Chan, the person we're talking about this entire video. But I don't get how they're jumping to this person is keeping racism and sexism alive by addressing that it has negative impacts on all of us. Like, I love how they throw random thing only to just end up being sexist in the end because they can. Right? They start making some sort of cohesive point and then they just jump to something else because they're upset.
And I think that's what they call the apex fallacy. She insulted
Apex fallacy. Okay.
the group when no
She didn't insult the group with that tweet. She made fun of the one person she quote tweeted.
not even the grand majority of the group is privileged.
It's not whether or not the entire or the majority even of that group is privileged. It's about the fact that the system is in place to benefit those people, whether or not we want to address it or not.
Man, I love the privilege of having a skyrocketing suicide rate and the inequality of fathers getting their kids compared to mothers. VTubers suck so bad.
Man, I love the privilege of having a skyrocketing suicide rate or the inequality of fathers getting their kids compared to the mothers. Okay. First of all, you're pushing back against a progressive that wants men to address their mental health problems, which would lead to a lowering of that suicide rate. And the inequality of fathers getting their kids compared to mothers, from what I've heard, is a lot of those fathers don't want to raise the kids. They nutted. They didn't want to deal with the consequences of that, so they just let the mother have it. I don't doubt that there are fathers who should have gotten the what's the word? Shouldn't have. There are fathers that should have gotten the kids in the divorce, so to speak, when the mother did, because perhaps there is a bias towards that. That is something that does need to be looked into, does need to be addressed. But you don't address that by ignoring any and all progressive politics. That doesn't make privilege disappear. You're just discrediting the point because you don't like the idea. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what all these people pushing back against Vivi-chan here have been doing this entire time.
I think you're conflating male privilege with female privilege. Those are different things and both exist. LMAO, all this shit was disproven by anti-SJWs in like 2015. Time.
What? All this shit was disproven by anti-SJWs in like 2015. You want to link a source, bud? They're a fellow Canadian. I'm upset that they got my country's flag in their name and they're spouting this reactionary bullshit. But I mean, look, racism is bad. Yeah, but once a black guy punched me, so no. The sources I made it the fuck up. Yeah, that's the vibe I'm getting. That's like, that's the entirety of this content. But at least Curry here did front load the video saying, I'm not going to really deconstruct or analyze these. I'm just going to be showcasing this. This video is literally just bringing attention to pushback against progressive thinking.
To catch up. What does race?
Okay, yeah, they're not even going to. Thank you, Tama. They're not going to substantiate that at all. And of course they don't. They don't care about proving themselves right. They just care about spouting their narrative, and reactionaries just tend to dogmatically follow along with every other reactionary.
Has to do with the situation. A victim is a victim no matter what, and I get tired of jackasses like you fanning the crap and being a racist. I know men that were demonized for things that they did not do, and were gagged and told to suffer in silence.
Okay, Vivi didn't tell you to suffer in silence. Vivi addressed that privilege exists. That's all Vivi has done. And people keep jumping to she's a racist. they're essentially just jumping. She's jumping to. She's a racist misandrist. Same as before. Use something that as no, like to say yes but no. Yeah, that's what they do.
And remember that high school kid a few years ago who was accused of rape by 3 girls from his class/school? How he got harassed, expelled, sent death threats, etc., to the point he attempted suicide, only for the girls to confess they made it up because they didn't like him?
Oh, yeah, thank you for not going into any more detail on that. It's just an anecdotal point of how, hey, there can be fake rape threats. Maybe we should take a deeper look into when these things are brought up. Look, once Hitler cried, he's innocent, of course. Right? He had a dog. He can't be evil. No evil person has a dog.
Suicide, only for the girls to confess they made it up because they didn't like him?
Yeah, that's just fucked up behavior that nobody should be engaging with. And nobody defends. I would be flabbergasted if anybody could bring up Vivi defending that kind of mindset. That is the opposite of what I've seen out of Vivi thus far.
I know that only 1% of this demographic actually benefits from it. Ooh, but blanket statements are easier. Anyways, I don't mean to attack men, but did it. I fixed it. Saying male privilege exists is not an attack. Just it.
Again, the attack of that tweet, which was barely even considered an attack because it was just a goofy phrasing of their sentiment, is the first 5 words. But males are victims too. Yeah, they are. But that doesn't disprove the fact that these systems exist.
Truth. And she continues to double down, probably until this date, and she probably continue to do so, as this is giving her attention, but probably not the kind of.
Oh yeah, she's definitely developing so much clout off of the 3-4 likes that her responses get, compared to the 30+ likes of the people pushing back against her. Oh yeah, she's 100% doing this for clout, and not at all because, hey, maybe this is something that she actually believes, because, you know, privilege exists. She's got 4 yes, the internet followers, right?
Attention she needs, but I guess she needs it at the moment. She might be a masochist at this point. Who the hell knows? Implying it benefits a group as a whole when a very small minority of that group is though. That's the entire point.
It's not that it does benefit the entire group, it's that it can benefit members of that group.
Half the people disagreeing with you have been making. People claiming this is some kind of attack. I'm just so frail and delicate. I should love that you just...
It's definitely not an attack.
Response to me disliking someone actually shitting on a gender for existing is to demean me saying I'm frail and delicate. You're so fucking helpful. Please go fuck yourself.
Okay, that just proves Connor here's fragility, because right there he's claiming that Vivi is shitting on a gender by acknowledging that there are privileges that gender can experience. Cool.
This shit is why I like JP VTubers better. Don't even get me started on some of the privileges that women and non-white people have in Western society over white men.
Okay. I would like you to get started. Please. Please. No more comments on that. Just saying it and accepting it as fact. Okay?
My boyfriend had the worst times of his life growing up. He's white and a dude. White privilege, my fucking ass. You're some pieces of fucking garbage. He's still struggling from all the bullshit he had to go through. Some of you generally just hate men, such a miserable human beings you all are.
Where was the hate? There was no hate in that thing. There was a bit of antagonism with the first 5 words with this tweet, but there was no hate. These people are just assuming it and jumping to that narrative. It's literally the same garbage argument reused. Find something more concrete, right? That's this entire video. It's just 40 minutes of going through quote tweets and highlighting reactionary sentiment.
Struggling from all the bullshit he had to go through. Some of you generally just hate men, such a miserable human beings you all are. And there it is, the apex fallacy. The assumption that because very few members of a group are powerful, therefore the rest of them must necessarily share that power too.
Okay, so what's their source on this? Because that looks like it's hard to tell. The assumption that very few members of a group are powerful, therefore the rest of them must necessarily share that power too. Yeah, that I was just thinking that's Urban Dictionary, isn't it? And that's where these people are going to be taking their sourcing from? Okay. Okay. And yeah, that's what I thought. I'm just not on Urban Dictionary super much, so I didn't want to directly say it out without any confirmation. Oh, I know, they have some they have some wacky definitions. But going with this definition right here, assuming that because a few members of a group are powerful, therefore the rest must necessarily share that power too. Apex fallacy is not what I want to see my sister stream and be nerd QQ jitter. I have GIF internet. Why being weird? Do you do this? I have no idea what's going on. Because my stream should be fine. Yeah, I'm not sure what Digital Vibes is saying either. I think she's struggling with the stream, like there's stuttering in the video or something. But I don't know what that is. I'm not getting any notifications on my OBS that I'm dropping frames or anything. And I'm not, and my internet is, like 900 megabytes up and down on average. Okay, yeah, it might be a hiccup on your end, Vibes. But back to what I was saying, this apex fallacy, they're claiming that Vivi has this, or basically believes this fallacy, or this fallacy applies to her, when in reality everything she said has disproved that that fallacy would apply to her, and in fact it's actually applying to other people. It's applying to how they think Vivi thinks. Vibes, you go back to work. You're a pretty good sister too. But yeah, this definition doesn't apply to what I've seen of Vivi. It applies to the characterizations of the people pushing back against her because they mischaracterize what she has to say. Like,
rest of them must necessarily share that power too. And lastly, we'll end on this. At least the redhead apologized. I hate all men started pack. Which is funny because I covered all three of them at this point. One of them...
okay. So we got Vivi. Is that Arya? I have no idea who that is. But since the type of people are saying that these are bad people, kind of makes me think, I don't know, maybe they have something intelligent to say. At least more intelligent than the people pushing back against them.
just being completely misandrous, just hating on men trying to give her advice. The one in the middle trying to dismiss others based on their privilege when they were doing good in VTubing, and not thinking about all the other poor people that were doing worse than she does.
Link, you wanna? I'm not even going to ask anymore because I know they're not going to substantiate what they have to say.
And lastly, Vivi, who has been the subject of this video. So, the three musketeers of gender studies and misandry combined. I hope you enjoyed yourself, because I didn't. I hope you learned something about VTubing via this video, because this is that sort of issue that rears its ugly head from time to time.
This is a issue that rears its ugly head from time to time, and it's pretty bad. It's like, fuck's sakes. This entire video has just fucking showcased why you need some kind of political analysis. At least a base level understanding. Like, holy shit. If there's one thing... Excuse me. If there's one thing I could get people to take away from this... Please don't essentialize people's takes. And actually try to listen to the point they're making rather than stopping at the specific words because you don't like specific words, like hearing that male privilege exists.